Okay, so have you ever felt stuck? You know, like you're putting in the effort, but not really getting anywhere?
Yeah, definitely. It's like you're spinning your wheels.
Exactly. And then
Yeah.
you start looking around and you see other people seemingly cruising through life, reaching those goals they set for themselves. And you can't help but wonder, what am I doing wrong? Why is this so hard for me?
It's so frustrating, right? You're doing the work, is still hitting that wall.
Yeah, and that's what we're diving into today, that feeling of being stuck in a rut, why it happens, and more importantly, how to break free.
We've been researching some really interesting ideas about why people get trapped in these cycles of unfulfilled potential.
Yeah, and the goal isn't just to point out the problems. We want to give you some real actionable tools, things you can start using today to shift your perspective and see some actual change.
Awesome. So today we're going deep into the core reasons behind this feeling of being stuck.
We've identified three key areas where we often sabotage our own progress without even realizing it.
And this isn't just surface level stuff. Getting a handle on these three things can really change how you approach your goals and ultimately your life.
Exactly. We're going to break down each of these areas step by step and give you practical strategies to start seeing a real difference. So stick with us because this could be the insight you've been waiting for.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's jump right in. The first big obstacle we're tackling is the tendency to wait for the perfect moment, to feel completely ready before taking action.
Okay, so think about something you've been putting off. Could be starting a new project, learning a skill,
Yeah.
having a difficult conversation, whatever it is. What's the script running in your head? What is that little voice saying?
Oh, I know that voice all too well.
Right. It's usually something like, I need more experience, or I need to save up more money first, or I'm just waiting for the right time.
Yep. We've all been there.
hmm
It's so easy to get caught in that loop.
And here's the thing. That right time we're waiting for often doesn't actually exist. It's a bit of a myth. Our brains are wired to seek comfort and avoid risk. So this idea of waiting to be ready is a clever way for our brains to keep us safe and comfortable, even if that comfort zone isn't really where we want to be.
Yeah, and there's some fascinating neuroscience behind this whole procrastination thing.
Oh, really? Tell me more.
Well, the prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain responsible for planning and decision-making, can actually be overruled by the amygdala, which is our brain's fear center.
So basically, fear takes over.
Exactly. And that fear leads us to avoid the perceived risks of starting something new. So waiting to feel ready can be a direct result of that fear response.
That makes so much sense. It's like that classic example of someone who wants to be a writer, but they spend years researching different writing software and pens and notebooks, waiting for that perfect moment of inspiration. But they never actually write anything. The preparation becomes the procrastination.
Precisely. You don't become proficient by waiting. You become proficient by doing, by getting your hands dirty, by facing challenges and figuring them out along the way.
So how do we escape this cycle of waiting? What are some tangible steps we can take?
The most important thing is to just start. Even before you feel 100% ready, work with what you have right now. You don't need all the answers or the fanciest tools to take that first step.
Yeah, and there's this really cool technique called the 5-second rule. Have you heard of this one?
Yeah, it's great.
Basically, when you feel that urge to procrastinate creeping in, you count down from 5 to 1, and then you immediately take some small action towards your goal. It's about breaking that hesitation loop before it takes over.
Love it. It really helps to bypass that overthinking and inaction. It emphasizes that even the smallest step can build momentum. Like they say, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Right. All right, so here's a challenge for everyone listening. Think of one thing, just one that you've been wanting to do, but you haven't started because you don't feel quite ready. What's the absolute smallest, most insignificant first step you could take today? Commit to doing that one tiny thing before the day is over. You might be surprised how much progress you feel just by taking that first step.
I love that challenge.
Hmm.
Now let's move on to the second big thing that holds us back. An excessive concern with the opinions and judgments of others.
Oh man, the fear of what other people think. This is a huge one. It's crazy how many brilliant ideas have never seen the light of day because someone was too worried about what their friends or family or even strangers would say.
It's so true. We worry about failing and looking foolish, or sometimes even succeeding and facing disapproval if it doesn't fit other people's expectations.
It's like we're constantly filtering our dreams through this lens of how other people might react, and it's exhausting.
And here's the tough part. No matter what you do, you're going to face criticism at some point. It's just part of life. People have different perspectives, and not everyone's going to align with yours.
Yeah, it's like trying to please everyone is a recipe for disaster. You end up pleasing no one, least of all yourself.
Exactly. If you're always making decisions based on avoiding negative feedback, you're going to end up living a life that doesn't truly reflect your own values and aspirations.
There's a great example of this that we found. Think about Jeff Bezos' decision to leave his stable job in finance to start an online bookstore, Amazon. At the time, a lot of people were skeptical.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people thought he was making a huge mistake, leaving a secure job for something so uncertain.
Exactly. But he had a vision, and he was willing to pursue it despite the doubts of others. And look at Amazon now.
That's a really powerful point. It's like the people who criticize the most are often the ones who haven't taken any risks themselves.
Yeah, their criticism can be more about their own fears and limitations than about your actual potential.
It's like they're projecting their own insecurities onto you.
So how do we quiet those inner voices that are constantly amplifying the potential judgments of others? Any tips?
Well, first off, remember that criticism usually says more about the person giving it than about you. Their words are a reflection of their own experiences and beliefs, not necessarily a reflection of your worth.
That's a good reminder.
And second, remind yourself that the regret of not pursuing your dreams because of fear is way more painful than any temporary discomfort you might feel from criticism.
And don't underestimate the power of having a supportive network. People who believe in you and encourage you, even when you doubt yourself. Surround yourself with those people and distance yourself from the ones who constantly bring negativity.
Absolutely. Having that positive support system can make all the difference.
All right, time for another challenge. Everyone listening. Think of something you've been hesitant to do specifically because you were worried about what someone else would think. Maybe it's sharing a creative project or expressing a different opinion or trying a new hobby. Whatever it is, commit to taking one small step towards that thing, even if it makes you a little uncomfortable. Prove to yourself that you can act despite that fear.
Okay, so we've covered waiting for the perfect moment and worrying about other people's opinions. Now let's talk about the third major obstacle, letting our emotions control our decisions and actions.
This is a big one. How many times have we all skipped a workout because we just didn't feel like it? Or put off an important task because we weren't feeling inspired? We tend to wait for that surge of motivation, that feeling of being in the zone before we actually do anything.
Yeah, it's this common misconception that motivation comes first and then action follows. But for a lot of successful people, it's actually the other way around.
So you're saying action creates motivation?
Exactly. Once you start doing something, even if you don't feel super enthusiastic at first, you often find that motivation kicks in as you go along. It's like you build momentum.
That's so interesting. It's like we're waiting for permission from our feelings to get started. But what if we just gave ourselves permission instead?
Exactly. Think about professional athletes. They don't wait until they feel motivated to train. They have a schedule and they stick to it, even on the days when they're tired or sore or just not feeling it.
That's a great point. Their commitment is the driving force, not their fluctuating emotions.
Right. Their consistent actions create a positive feedback loop. They train, they get results, they feel good, they train more. It's all about building that discipline.
So how do we cultivate that kind of discipline? How do we stop being at the mercy of our ever-changing emotions?
The key is to make a conscious decision to prioritize discipline over motivation. Don't let your feelings dictate your actions, especially when it comes to things that are important to you.
And systems and routines can be really helpful for this. When you build habits around certain actions, you don't have to rely on willpower or motivation as much. It becomes more automatic.
Exactly. You're essentially taking the decision-making out of the equation, which frees up mental energy and reduces the chance of getting sidetracked by your emotions.
And even on those days when you're feeling totally drained, remember that doing something even at 50% effort is still progress. It's much better than doing nothing at all while you're waiting for that perfect surge of motivation.
I love that. Even a small step forward is still a step forward that keeps the momentum going.
Okay, one last challenge for you guys. Next time you're facing a task that you know is important but you're just not feeling it, make a conscious decision to start anyway, even if it's just for 5 minutes. See what happens. You might find that once you get going, that initial resistance starts to fade away.
Awesome. So let's recap. We've talked about 3 major reasons why you might be feeling stuck. Waiting to feel ready, worrying about other people's opinions, and letting your emotions call the shots.
And for each of these, we've given you some practical strategies to overcome them. Starting before you feel ready, recognizing the limitations of criticism, and building discipline to overcome those fickle feelings.
Now here's a final question for you to consider. Which of these 3 obstacles resonates with you the most? Which one feels like the biggest hurdle in your own life? Take a moment to identify that area and then commit right now to taking one small action to start changing that pattern.
And as you move forward, think about this. If that perfect feeling of readiness or the complete absence of criticism or that constant surge of motivation are things that rarely just happen on their own, what does it mean to choose action anyway? What power do you reclaim by choosing to move forward despite those limitations? That's something I'll leave you to ponder.